6 a.m. on a Thursday morning. Bill Gunner, Preston Thorne, and Captain David Dare. Not Jen Jensen. That's right. Jen is off to drive race cars. The Indy 500 calls her name. It's like the, what was it they said in Dumb and Dumber? The birds of Capistrano. What did they say? Do you remember that?
I don't remember that.
Did you see them?
It's some sort of migration. Yes. She is making a pilgrimage to the Mecca of racing, where she will go and swim in milk oceans for victory laps.
Is she going to kiss the bricks and drink some milk?
That's exactly what she does. Yes, great. Now I got to look this up because now I feel dumb, because that was a classic line out of Dumb and Dumber, in which he said something about a migration that occurs. But Jen is off to the Indy 500. We may hear from her this morning, but if not, Captain Dave's got it held down. Preston and I will get through it, and we've got a lot to get to this morning as we start to set you up for the Columbia Super Regional that'll take place tomorrow. We had playoffs last night, and speaking of, I'll tell you what, Dave, let's go ahead and hit the sounder for our most important things of the day.
Now, on the early game, let's kick off the show with the MITs, the most important things on the game.
Oh, we got a whole bunch today, Preston. There is the Super Regionals that are set to take place. We finally got the time and the network, the channel, correct. 1 o'clock tomorrow, ESPN2.
This is huge. Obviously, this is the first time we've had this here, with building all this part up to the season, and looking forward to this happening. They worked through the regionals to get it done, taking down the Ospreys, taking down Elon, taking down whoever need to be. This is what I considered a success. If they made it to this point, I said that it was going to be
just put another blame on the baseball team, because it would be really. I've never seen that. From the softball team, and so I've kind of upped the ante, if you will. I've changed the narrative on them. I've changed the game, unfortunately for them, where, yes, I now want to see you in the College World Series.
All right,
that's I think fair. We all want to see them in the College World Series, but yeah, I'm kind of saying that if you don't get there, I'm going to be a bit. You hosted a Super Regional. You got a team coming from the West Coast in. We seem to own UCLA. We beat them in the last College World Series that we faced them in. That was the men's side, but we need to win this thing.
How long does that ownership last? I'm just wondering, is that you own them for life if you beat them last decade? I wonder how that works.
We haven't played them since, right? And nothing.
I don't think so. I don't know how that works. Do you own?
No. They beat us in basketball this year. They beat us in women's basketball. Thumped us pretty soundly.
That's true. Yeah. So we don't.
You know what? That wasn't a championship game.
Okay. All right.
I can write that off.
Fair.
I can write that off.
Fair enough.
So.
We own them in regional championship games.
Yeah, I like that. That. So yeah, let's stick with that. When it really matters, when it really matters, we own them. So there's that. We'll get you more prepared for that. Let you hear a little bit from Ashley Chastain Woodard later on here in the program. Last night, playoffs, and I didn't see it coming. Well, it did go to overtime, but 138-135. Pacers, Knicks, what are you doing? We're not supposed to score this many points. It's supposed to be 86-83.
Yeah, it was a scoring affair, and that leads to what happened with the Pacers. But the story is we had another buzzer beater. Tyrese Halliburton again shoots a three-pointer again. Leads the team, doesn't win the game because it's forcing them to go to overtime. But the comeback of the year, you could say it was the comeback of the year, only for the fact that they've already done this 2 other times in the playoffs. The Pacers have done this considerably in every single round of the playoffs. Let me give you a quick statistic here. Since 1996, teams that are losing by 7 points in the final 50 seconds of the game are 4 and 1,700. 4. They've won 4 times and lost 1,702 times. I'm sorry, not 2 times.
With how much time?
50 seconds.
With 50 seconds.
With 50 seconds left.
And they're losing
by 7. Team's record is 4 wins and 1,702 losses.
Now, where did we see this? Because I feel like you didn't spend all night.
Of course, I didn't research it, but the internet is an amazing thing. You can find all kinds of information. And when you listen and you're prepping, you find these types of things. 4 wins, 1,702 losses. The Pacers have 3 of those wins this playoff series. They have 3 of them. They did it last night against the Knicks. They did it against the Cleveland when Halliburton did the big ball celebration, and then they did it against the Bucks when Daddy Halliburton ran on the court. Yep. 3 of the 4 since 1996 have been done this playoffs by this playoff team. It was a tremendous amount. Great game. Hey, Knicks, let one slip away.
Jalen Brunson with 43 last night.
Balling.
Lived up to what he is expected to be. Tyrese Halliburton with 31 last night, including a monster three-pointer to send the game to overtime. A lot is being talked about the bounce off of the rim.
Oh, it was crazy. It was crazy. I have not – well, I have seen a ball bounce that high, and it was in the championship with Kawhi Leonard when his bounced 3 times off of the rim. The ball bounced to hit the rim and then bounced up to the ceiling. And it just hung up in the air, and then the basketball god – who obviously was not for the Knicks last night, dropped it into the bucket.
It was a fun game to watch. It was a great game to take in. I've never seen a player go 8 of 9 from three-point range.
And not just any player.
A guy from South Carolina.
We talked about it yesterday.
The state of South Carolina.
We talked about it yesterday.
Exactly, yeah.
We went through his whole recruiting process yesterday. Who's the guy? Aaron Naismith, local guy from Portugal. You said you thought we had him locked up. We didn't. He went to Vanderbilt, and apparently he wants to become a very good pro now.
30 points last night for Aaron Nesmith, 9 of 13 from the floor, but 8 of 9 from three-point range in that ballgame. We laughed. We joked.
Out of those 8 or 9, 6 of them were in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, again, we talked about the three-pointers taken in the Celtic series. 11 of 34 for the Knicks last night, 15 of 37 for the Pacers. And the Pacers took 100 shots last night. So, and the Knicks took 94. But you see the difference there, whereas Boston, I think, was taking basically about 15 to 20 mid-range or layups. You had these two teams actually shooting the basket, the ball inside the three-point line.
Yeah, it was a tremendous game. Unfortunately, or fortunately, because the game was on late at night and the Knicks were up by 14 points with 5 minutes left, I decided,
Oh, you went to bed, huh?
I'll go to sleep.
Okay.
Woke up this morning. I was woken up this morning by a youngin'. Stayed up.
She stayed up and watched everything?
No, she didn't. They don't care. They wake you up and then they go to sleep. But I was awake. Ended up watching the rest of the game, was pleasantly surprised. It was a tremendous finish.
You had that yesterday. Also, you had some hockey. Hockey turned into a bit of a blowout in the third period there. Dallas Stars rolled over the Edmonton Oilers 6-3 in that contest, and the Stars were down 3-1 to start the third period and then absolutely exploded in the third period. I watched probably a little bit more of that than I did the NBA last night, but a very fun night doing that. Also yesterday, we're still going to be tush pushing. I feel like this should be some kind of country line dance.
Yeah, that's a good name. Do the old tush push boogie. I like that. Yeah, unfortunately the NFL owners were cowards and they didn't want to do the right thing.
Ooh, I like that. That could be a hot take for a little bit coming up. 803-404-6100. So those are your most important things of the day, from South Carolina's Columbia Super Regional to the playoffs last night. Again, fun night there. You had a huge comeback. You actually had two huge comebacks. I hadn't really thought about that until just now, between the Pacers rolling back, now that you give that stat. 4 and 1,702.
So, if you need another stat, teams that led by 14 with 2.5 minutes left.
Oh, dear.
They were 994-0. Now they're 994-1.
So the Knicks blew it last night. All those great folks at Madison Square Garden, all those celebrities, Ben Stiller, and Tracy Morgan, and all the great people that showed up, went home very, very sad. Pacers win that last night. So we'll get into that. Also this morning we got a little bit of college football to get into. Brad Crawford putting out a little bit of stuff on some impact transfers, and South Carolina has one, but it's in a position that's, I think, loaded with talent. We've kind of talked about this, the defensive backfield loaded with talent. And, Preston, that's going to make for an interesting, I think, fall preseason camp, probably call it preseason camp, for what South Carolina wants to do.
There's a lot of guys that are in that room. You have guys that are coming off suspension. You have guys coming through the portal. You have dudes that have been there. There's a lot of fighting for reps in that room. So the competition should breed the best out of that.
So we'll get into that a little bit this morning as well. Again, if you want to be a part of the program, 803-404-6100. That's how you can weigh in via text, via phone call this morning. We look forward to hearing from you. You're listening to Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner, Captain Dave Adair. It is the early game. Bill Gunner for Love Chevrolet, where the inventory's still overflowing. That's right. We're heading into the month of June here in just several days. But you know what? At Love Chevrolet, the deals are still absolutely spectacular. And you can get over there and check out the 14 acres of brand new Chevys to choose from. That's right. And at Love Chevrolet, they have the lowest price guaranteed. In fact, they'll beat any competitor's price, or they'll give you $1,000. It's called the $1,000 low price guarantee. So visit Love Chevrolet today. Check out the 14 acres of brand new Chevys and check out exclusive specials on Suburbans, Tahoes, Silverados, the entire lineup of award-winning Chevys on the lot. And right now they are ready for you to go and check out and purchase. And again, what I'll always mention, what stands out about Love Chevrolet is that incredible sales staff. You go visit them, they are excited to make sure that that purchase is exactly what you want. So get out to Love Chevrolet today, and together, let's drive.
All right, we're starting out the morning with a couple of problems already. Got a accident. It's on 26 westbound 159 exit. That's going to be near SC 36, Orangeburg County. And the left-hand lane is blocked there. I-20 eastbound at Alpine Road, exit 76B. Broken down car at that location. Weather outlook, clear conditions all day today. Wind gusts, though 11 miles an hour, but that'll feel good as the weather is warmer. Also, we're going to see 85 for a high. Tomorrow, 80 for a high, 61 for an overnight low. Saturday, 77 for a high. Should be a nice day Saturday, 58 for a low. Sunday, though, we see about a 60% chance of rain moving in, 82 for a high, 64 for your overnight low.
It means a lot, and I think when you have somebody that's leading the program, that played in the program, there's just an extra layer of passion for certain things. And, for me, like I really want to connect the current team and the current program to the past and the alumni base. And, we've felt so much love and support over the past year from so many people that have been in this program. I mean, from the 80s and 90s, this program is very historic. If you go back and look, it's been around a long time. So I think for me, just trying to find players that are going to care as much about wearing the logo as I did, that's really important to me. And, I really admire that about this team and just kind of some of the historic things that they're doing and changing the program right now. I think that they're going to look back and just have so much passion and stay connected with the program. And so, as an alum, that means a lot. And so I would hope that when we recruit people, whether it's, high schoolers or transfers from other places and their families, really, because it's a holistic decision. It's a family decision to come be a part of what we're doing. I would hope that they would feel that passion for me and really want to attach themselves to that. And my staff has deep Carolina roots, and they're just as passionate about this place as we are, or as I am. So, it matters to me. I just want people that are going to care about the program as much as I do, and really cherish and take care of the logo.
Those are the words of Coach Ashley Chastain Woodard, who is currently leading this softball program. She can say that it's storied and historic and everything about the program, but this is kind of uncharted times for South Carolina softball, Preston Thorne, where they have navigated a league that is considered not just in softball, but throughout college sports, one of the most difficult to navigate.
Yeah, and that was what the issue was when we saw her coming in. We was like, oof, you're going to have a challenge, especially with the newcomers that we were welcoming in the national reigning champs, the titans of the industry in Oklahoma. But they have had a tremendous season this year, and they've done made great improvements and improved almost 11 games as far as winning last year. And what Ashley Chastain Woodard has done to make the comparisons, because I can't not make them, is what we would have hoped that the baseball program would have done. Was taking a team that was decent and take them to the next level. And we've seen that what a coach can do in the first year with the right transfer portal, with the right attitude, and all those types of things. We've seen that it is possible on these levels. So that's why this story is even more interesting. It's not that she's just a first-year coach, not that she's just an alum, is that right across the diamond and right across the street, you have a program that's going in the complete opposite direction.
Yeah, they were really similar to what they were similar programs. The baseball program had more history and tradition and was expected. There was much more expected of them. This one is kind of like, all right, just be competitive in this league. Just don't get blown out, right? And because we look at, for those that, again, you and I have discussed this, for those that don't really know, the SEC in softball is it's massive. Like I think it probably. And this is a weird year to do this because baseball is phenomenal. Basketball got 14 teams in the NCAA basketball tournament. We know what football is. But this year, again, softball is probably still the most difficult. Would you agree with this? The most difficult sport to navigate if you're in the SEC, especially with Oklahoma and Texas coming in.
Yeah, the people you brought in, right? You don't normally bring people in who are better than you. You bring people in who you want to be doormats, and they were not that. And so, yeah, week after week when you play these games in the SEC, whether you're playing Oklahoma, you're playing Texas, you're playing LSU, you're playing all of these teams who are not only that they're good, but they're invested in the sport. Because sometimes that happens with women's sports is that maybe universities are not as invested in those things, but every one of these teams in the SEC are invested in winning. And so, yeah, it was a daunting challenge, and they've more than lived up to that challenge this year.
So this is the third super regional appearance, 2007, 2018, and 2025. The last time South Carolina appeared in the Women's College World Series was 1997. They also have appearances in 1983, 1989 as well. So 3 different College World Series appearances. But this would be something that, again, I say unprecedented. That's probably an inaccurate word to use on that, but it's not something that we're familiar with. 1997, I definitely don't remember that.
As we're saying, it's a long time ago. It doesn't, even if we're talking about quote unquote major sport, it's still a long time ago. So yeah, 97 was a long time ago, and this is the first time they've actually hosted a super regional. So they've been, but this is the first one that they've hosted. So it is, if you wanted to use that phrase, unprecedented. It is something new for the program because they've never done this before, and they're bringing in a team who has had a lot of success. UCLA is very good at softball. They've been to the World Series frequently recently. And so there's a way that we can spin this as another underdog or David versus Goliath type of story because the story program is coming to the upstart. So that's a reason why we can get invested here.
Yeah, it's similar. I think a little bit maybe to what Ray Tanner did. I remember Miami coming to Columbia for a super regional. That would be the super regional that South Carolina won that year to send them to their first College World Series under Ray Tanner. They had been previously, of course. But this is fun to watch. And South Carolina's had a nice history of coaches going back to 1987 when Joyce Compton took over. Joyce Compton ran from 1987 to 2010. So you had a nice little 23-year run there. And then Bev Smith took over in 2011 and ran to 2024. Now you got Ashley Chastain Woodard. And she comes in and in her very first year brings in 9 new transfers, 6 of which came from Charlotte, and that's what's helped propel them on. And it goes to show you what you can do in 1 year to change the dynamics of a team.
Yeah, she brought the dudes with her. She brought somebody who broke the single season record in Ariana Rhodey. She broke the single season home run record. She brings pitchers in with her, and they all bring an attitude up. And I think when you come from that quote unquote lower level to get to the SEC, they're all trying to figure out and prove that they can compete. And that's from the coach. That's from everybody on down. Hey, we've done this here. We've been successful at this level. Let's make this up to the next level and be successful. And they've done that.
They've been more than fantastic, and we look forward to watching them again. Reminder for this upcoming weekend starts on Friday, 1 o'clock on Friday. Tomorrow, it'll be televised on ESPN2, and then it'll be 1 o'clock on Saturday, and then hopefully, if necessary, should we say hopefully, or how do we phrase that? We don't want if necessary.
You just say if necessary.
If necessary, all right.
Just if necessary.
On Sunday, time to be announced. So that has not been decided yet. But 1 o'clock tomorrow, ESPN2, 1 o'clock on Saturday, and we'll kind of go from there. But in a season, Preston, I don't know how to word this properly to not insult anybody without it, without doing it. But in a season which baseball has been difficult to stomach, very difficult, and that is South Carolina sport. You would agree with that?
I don't know.
No, it is. It is. South Carolina baseball has been South Carolina's sport throughout time. Football was mediocre football has been mediocre at best. You had a great run there with your 2 football teams. You had a 3-year run with Steve Spurrier. You've had other good years here and there. Obviously, last season, basketball for the last 40 years. Most people in their lifetime have only seen 4 victories in the NCAA tournament. That came in one season. baseball traditionally for this university has been the sport. That is the sport. And that's what I always say, and I said it during basketball season, baseball fans around here look out on that diamond and go, we know what good baseball looks like. We've seen it. We saw Ray Tanner. We saw June Raines. Many of y'all can go back and say, well, we saw Bobby Richardson. They know what good baseball looks like. It's hard to say that about football and basketball at times because of the history and tradition. Baseball let us down this year, massively. Ashley Chastain Woodard in softball kept us hopeful, much like Dawn Staley and basketball. The women really kept us alive.
Yeah, they held it down by far. Whether it was the winter or the spring, the women's sports were definitely far superior to the men's sports, their counterparts.
So 803-404-6100 if you want to weigh in. But congratulations to them and some good stuff there from Ashley Chastain Woodard. That was on SEC this morning, yesterday, on having success as an alum. And does that mean anything to you bringing it back? Because Shane Beamer is not an alumni, but he embraced this job and has said this was his dream job, maybe more so than Virginia Tech.
It means tremendous amount to me because for far too long, Will Muschamp, that whole staff, they just came in and plunged the coffers of South Carolina. They took them and took their checks elsewhere. They're still getting paid by us. Yes, that means a lot to me as an alum to see somebody lead. Does it always work? No, it does not work all the time. We've seen it not work. But when somebody who has played for this university, understands this university, that does mean something. And if it's not going to be somebody who's an alum, it has to be somebody who embraces being here. Obviously, Ashley fits both of those standards. Coach Beamer, though not an alum, embraces it. Coach Staley, though not an alum, embraces it. One of the issues with Coach Kingston was kind of like, hey, man, you understand what's going on here? Never did. Jury still left to be out on Paul Maneri and his crew. But, yes, that is extremely important to me as an alum.
803-404-6100 if you want to text or weigh in on that. You're listening to Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner, Captain David Ayer filling in for Jen Jensen. It is the early game.
Hey, Columbo, are you looking for the best gear to tackle your lawn? Well, Cato's Power Equipment has been family-owned and serving the Midlands since 1983. Yes, that is over 40 years. And third-generation owner Ben Cato provides top-notch service, great deals, and the mom-and-pop values that you love. And Ben is determined to raise the standard of sales, service, and retail. At Cato's, they are proud to offer a wide selection of new and pre-owned mowers, tractors, and more. So if you're ready to invest in something new, our friendly team is there to make the process easy, help you choose the right equipment, find financing options, and keep your gear running strong with expert service and parts. Whether you're a weekend warrior or a seasoned landscaping pro, Cato has you covered with a huge selection of new and pre-owned mowers, tractors, and all the gear that you need. So swing by Cato's Power Equipment today or call them at 803-254-3711. That's 803-254-3711.
All right, this morning on the roads, we're still seeing a couple of problems. They're on the interstates, a good ways out for one of them, at least. We've got one, it's going to be on Alpine Road, I-20 eastbound, right at Alpine Road, 76B exit. Also 26 westbound near exit 159. It's going to be in Orangeburg County, but now they have closed down the interstate. So you're going to need to either plan on a big delay there or go around it somehow or another. From the Wetzel Automotive Traffic Center, this is Captain Dave.
.34 on your Thursday morning, May the 22nd. Hope you're up and Adam doing well this morning. Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner, Captain Dave Adair filling in for Jen Jensen and talking a little softball. Also talking a little bit of football this morning, Preston Thorne, as yesterday 24/7 Sports put out their top transfers for the season and two guys that they left out. Let me rephrase that. Brad Crawford added two guys to that. Jack Plyborn, a defensive end that went to LSU, actually has family here in Columbia and probably was interested in South Carolina. Well, was interested in South Carolina. I do know that to be a fact. But also, they put in Brandon Cisse, defensive back from North Carolina State, who transferred to South Carolina.
Yeah, so he's coming in, and we heard that name coming in. He's from Lakewood over in Sunderland. Shout out to Willie Offer, head coach out there. So Brandon Cisse, and I believe his younger brother is coming in as a PWO also. But this is a guy who probably doesn't have a lot of fanfare around him coming in. When he was signed and through the transfer portal, people were like, okay, that's cool. But now that he's been here and he's went through the spring, it feels like there's a little bit more momentum and buzz behind his name as far as him being able to compete in what we already stated was a crowded room. Yeah,
we talked about this. This is why I brought this up with J.C. Sherbert on Tuesday. South Carolina traditionally has, I don't want to say has been DBU, but go back to your time, and you brought this up. We talked about the group that came through with you. Sheldon Brown and Andre Goodman really got it going there in the early 2000s. You mentioned a guy that maybe didn't get the love that he should have, Kevin House.
Kevin House was tremendous. He went to the NFL, played for a couple years. Him and Coach Holtz did not see things eye to eye, so that limited his playing time severely.
They had a disagreement and philosophical differences.
Philosophical differences, I would say. I would say the only thing that kept Kevin House here was the lack of portal. If there was a portal, he would have been through it.
But then that led to Dante Robinson and Fred Bennett. And then that led really into this. Well, Jonathan Joseph. Did Joseph was here in 04? Was he here in 04 and 05? Okay.
Yeah, Jonathan got hurt that Georgia game and changed things.
That was a bad Georgia game then, because that means Sidney Rice and Jonathan Joseph. Sidney Rice pregame and Jonathan Joseph in the game.
Correct. Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. But Co Simpson was a safety back there. We talked about that group was deep and, well, I shouldn't say that group because different time frames there, but a tremendous lineage of defensive backs coming through.
Yeah, and I mean, it doesn't stop. Even those teams that were so good, the Spurrier era had a tremendous amount of DBs that were on there from guys who played in the league for a long time. Obviously, DJ Swearinger, Jimmy Legree.
Some dude named Gilmore.
Holloman, who played both. There was a lot of guys back there always running around and being very versatile. So the key to this defense has a lot of times been if we have defensive backs back there.
And even you go through the Muschamp era. I mean, you've had really good ones roll through. The one that we, I think, continue to be somewhat amazed with is Keyshawn Nixon, who has just carved out a nice little NFL career.
Yeah, I mean, if you consider Pro Bowl nice little, I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
I don't know what happened. I don't know why. Every time his name pops up, I'm like, that's interesting, which is kind of a reoccurring theme for a lot of those guys during the Muschamp era. When you see them, Rico Dowdle, Keyshawn Nixon, on and on, you're like, Wow.
So do we, now that you say that out loud, like, do we say that, I don't want to say we are DBU, South Carolina's DBU, because there's other, LSU has got a lot of really good ones that have come out. But if we were to say there's a position group that South Carolina stands out at, would it be defensive back?
There's claims to it. You can make that claim for sure because there's guys who have been drafted high who've had NFL careers. There's guys that have been drafted later had NFL careers. Guys who've made a lot of money in the NFL. You could make that significant claim.
That would be the position that South Carolina would say we pride ourselves on. Well, now you get a group that's really interesting. Judge Collier is drawing strong praise as maybe the next dude to follow Israel Mukwamu and J.C. Horn and O'Donnell Fortune didn't get drafted, but obviously he was very good. And who am I leaving out? There's another one. Well, obviously Nick Eamon-Mori as well, though I never know exactly where to place Eamon-Mori in that group because of physically he's an entirely different animal. Mm-hmm. But with that being said, Judge Collier seems to be the next guy. Vakari Swain is a guy that is being just bragged about, but he's getting people weighing in. Brian from Lugoff mentions, and I forgot about Chris Culliver. Because it didn't feel like Culliver had the best career here, but it was pretty solid, and then goes on to have a nice NFL career.
Yeah, and also Chris split time. Didn't know whether they wanted him to be a receiver or a cornerback, and I feel as if when we bring up that category of philosophical differences, he might fall in that category also with coaching staff. So that there might have been a little bit to that. But, yeah, he goes into the league and he has a solid NFL career.
I couldn't understand. His freshman year, they had him at wide receiver. And it felt like Spurrier was like, all right, we'll let you try wide receiver. And then came to him at the end and was like, how'd that go for you? Did you learn anything? And Collier was like, I'm probably a defensive back coach. And like,
it's the easy decision.
Good decision. Come on back over.
Yeah, this is because we could just do this because we left out Darian Stewart.
Darian Stewart,
you know, those guys, and obviously the two guys that played with me, Willie Offer, Rashad Faison, those dudes. So oftentimes, a lot of times when people talking about some of their favorite players were on defense, it is a lot of these defensive backs.
Well, as you said, they got the attitude and the swagger and everything, and you kind of like seeing that. And, you know, Cam Smith is another one that's gone on. He hadn't had the best NFL career.
Cam Smith got drafted very high.
But he had the swagger and everything you would need with that.
He did. His NFL career is teetering right now. He's going to have to get himself together. But he got drafted. He got drafted really, really high, and he was a huge part, probably the main part of that big Tennessee win because he was able to follow receivers around and do all of those types of things. So, yes. Also, as a defensive coordinator, when your DBs are good, it's a lot easier to call plays. It's a lot easier to call plays.
A lot of y'all weighing in. Chris Lamons, who played for Kansas City. Captain Mutterland, who went on to have a nice career.
On and on and on.
Antonio Allen.
Who could forget that?
There's a lot of them, and that's why I think, as you mentioned this, as you bring this up, and we'll see what this group can do. But
Antonio Allen was so good.
It looks like a group that has guys that will all be drafted in Collier, in Kilgore. We've, again, heard a lot about Swain. We've heard a lot about Cisse. That feels like the backbone of the defense, the true backbone of the defense this year.
Well, it's going to be this year because they're replacing so many guys up front. They're not going to have – I'm saying over again, and I don't mean this in a disparaging way, but it is what it is. They're not going to have a Bronco Nagurski winner this year. They're not going to have three guys get drafted in the first 4 rounds. That doesn't mean they won't be good. It's just that last year they had an extreme amount of talent and execution up front, and those dudes were very coachable. So they're not going to have that this year, and they're going to have to rely on the back end to help them.
803-404-6100. We'll come back, wrap up hour number one. Preston's questions. Who's America's team? Who is America's team? Who do we all pull for? Preston, I'll ask you that when we come back. It's the early game. Bill Gunner for Zerorez Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning. Summertime means lots of home time, so give your family a nice, clean start with help from Zerorez. That's right. Why settle for old-school chemicals and harsh soaps when you can enjoy Zerorez's patented ZR water technology? That's right. With ZR water technology, it does not leave behind any sticky, soapy residue, no harsh chemicals, which actually means your kids, your pets, they can feel comfortable playing on the floor. So right now, give Zero Res a phone call and mention me, Bill Gunner at 107.5 The Game, and you can get 3 rooms of carpet clean for just $119. That's right, 3 rooms cleaned for just $119 when you mention me, Bill Gunner at 107.5 The Game. You can also book online. ZeroResColumbia.com is the way to do that. You can ask about Zero Res commercial cleaning as well. Zero Res, spell it backwards or forwards, it's the right way to clean.
Pressing here for our friends at Absolute Glass, the premier glass company of the Midlands, offering auto, business, and home glass repair. So if your glass is damaged, shattered, cracked, or broken, they can handle the job. If it's a cracked windshield, it's no problem. They'll come out to your location and they'll replace it for you, usually for free, and they'll work directly with the insurance company to take away the headache. That's right. They'll come out to wherever you are, school, home, work, it does not matter. Absolute Glass will take care of it for you. Now, if you're at home, you're looking to increase the value of your home, you can do that with new windows and mirrors, and Absolute Glass will take care of that for you too. Windows, mirrors, shower enclosures. Say it all the time. If you can see through it, Ray and Marianne at Absolute Glass can do it. So check them out online at AbsoluteGlassInc.com. That's online at AbsoluteGlassInc.com.
6:50 a.m., where Preston Thorne has questions. Who's America's team, Preston Thorne?
Well, we know who America's team is, at least who is said to be America's team, or at least who's been saying they've been America's team for the betterment of this past decade. But that team, if I was to just say America's team, most people would fill in the blanks with the team down in Texas, not the Texans. The team with the big star on the logo. They would be saying that it would be the Dallas Cowboys. And though it's not self-proclaimed, they didn't name themselves America's team. They were appointed America's team. The first time it was ever said on air was by Pat Summerall, as I read. It was in 1979. And then NFL Films also named them as America's team. But America's team has only won 4 playoff games in the 2000s. One for you, Bill.
Okay.
Remember we said it's been a long time since the women's team has been to the World Series?
1997.
That's right. Well, you know the last time the Cowboys won a Super Bowl? 1996.
6?
Yeah.
Okay.
Longer than that. So when we just said, I don't remember that. Well, nobody remembers the Cowboys being very good either. But yet, then still, they are America's team. Well, maybe that's up for debate now because things have changed. And in an interview recently, the Commanders owner's wife, Marjorie Harris, made a pretty bold proclamation. Captain Dave, can we get clip number 3 here?
We have so much to look forward to. And look, the Commanders are America's team. And so what better place to have the NFL draft than in the mall?
One more time, Dave. Can we run that back one more time just in case you didn't hear it?
We have so much to look forward to. And look, the Commanders are America's team. And so what better place to have the NFL draft than in the mall?
When she says the Commanders are America's team, how does that strike you, Bill?
That's how it strikes me. I'm just laughing. I can't.
Okay.
I don't. Are they?
That's the question.
Like,
so my question is, 803-404-6100, who is America's team? Is it still the Cowboys, who, I repeat, have not won a Super Bowl since 1996, won 4 playoff games in the 2000s? Four.
Yeah.
4 in the 2000s.
The same number of games teams have won. Teams have won when trailing by 7 or more points with 50 seconds to go.
Correct. Yes, that is absolutely correct. Who is America's team? Is it the Kansas City Chiefs?
Now, are you sticking just to football? Because I feel like when you say America's team, this is across the board, broad spectrum, baseball, basketball, football.
803-404-6100. Who is America's team?
I don't know if it is the case anymore. But it felt like when you and I were in college, that's when the Red Sox made a run. And it felt like I would go down to Sharky's or Jungle Gyms or one of the establishments down there, and every guy had a Boston Red Sox hat on.
Okay.
So I would have, about 20 years ago, I would have said the Red Sox. It felt like everybody was a Red Sox fan. It's either that or you and I were going to school with a lot of people from Boston.
Yeah, the Red Sox hat did become sort of ubiquitous. It was around everywhere. Obviously, they had success. That is an interesting take.
So I'm trying to think of now what I would go with. What do I see more? But now I feel like I see less hats or one team's, shirts or hats.
Is it because of apparel? You see apparel a lot. Is it because of coverage? I think if you go through some of the different criteria that would make a team America's team, whether it's coverage, whether it's winning, whether it's cultural impact, my argument would be it's the Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay.
But I'm open to hearing other arguments. The Cowboys, come on now, 4 playoff wins, and if you're a Cowboy fan, it's just facts. Don't get mad at the facts. 4 playoff wins since the 2000s. Last time they won a championship was in 1996. We have a team that's currently in the midst of a dominance, both on the field and off the field. I would present us the Kansas City Chiefs, but I'm open to any suggestions.
Les weighs in. When you guys asked that before you went to break, I started thinking to myself that Washington is our capital. Therefore, they are America's team.
Solid.
KT goes with the Gamecocks. Brian from Lugoff says, yeah, because that's my team. Go Commanders/Redskins.
I feel you.
Ray says to me, America's team is everybody's second favorite team. That means the Lions or the Bills.
Ooh.
Shannon goes with anybody but the Crybaby Cowgirls. We got John with the Steeler Nation.
Steelers are always thick everywhere.
Case,
I will admit that.
Case weighs in and goes, the Atlanta Braves were the original America's team.
I would like to challenge that.
We'll get into this more. Hour 2 on the way.
All right, on the interstates this morning, well, if you're coming in from Orangeburg, you've got a big problem. When you have a semi lying on its side on the interstate, that is a huge problem. The road is completely closed down there. This could be about the 136-mile marker. How far back does that backup go? All the way to I-95 right now. That is a long, almost 9-mile backup. So pretty bad. Also, as we get closer to Columbia, though, we've got a problem on I-20 westbound Fairfield Road with an accident there. Your weather outlook for today, sunny conditions all day long. Could be some wind gusts up to 10 miles an hour, but that'll feel good because it's going to be a warm day, 85 for your high. For tomorrow, it's 80 for a high, and the temperatures are going to drop for Friday and Saturday. 77 for a high on Saturday, but then Sunday we'll see some rain move in.
803-404-6100 as we get you up and get you going on your Thursday morning. For a lot of people, Preston Thorne, this is the official last day of school. The official last day. My particular kids, the last 2 days have been half days. They threw their hands up, threw the white flag, said, we're done. We're done on Tuesday.
And thank you for your service. Anybody who did not come to school on half days, thank you for your service on behalf of all the teachers. We appreciate you.
So they threw their hands up, but a lot of people I know are getting up and getting going right now and off to school, and really fun for them. So get up, get going. Maybe the last day you got to go through those car lines, and then it is officially summer. So excited for that.
Yeah, last day of school is always very anticlimactic, hopefully, as long as things go the right way, because you've been having half days, you've been turning in books, you've been cleaning up the rooms, you're doing all kinds of stuff. Sort of just like it doesn't end the way it begins, but it is. Everybody's glad to see it come.
Glad to see it come. That's right. So 803-404-6100. Let's do a little Atlanta Braves chop talk. Captain Dave, you got the spot? He's on the spot.
Chop talk. Hammered, left field, gone! Ronald Acuna, another milestone in a truly historic season.
On the Game Network.
Last night postponed, but tonight, 6:45. By the way, postponement against the Nationals. That game will be moved to Tuesday, September the 16th, be part of a split doubleheader.
Oh, that's baseball stuff right there.
You like that right there?
Split double. Ooh, yeah. It's good things. Day, night. It's great. That's nice.
For those wondering, if you happen to be in Washington, the nation's capital, maybe America's team, I don't know, some of you are weighing in. That particular game will be at 1:05 that day with the night game. The game actually scheduled for the 16th of September, beginning at 6:45. So that's it. But tonight, 6:45 against the Nationals. That'll wrap up that series before the Braves return home to take on the Padres. Preston Thorne, I am excited to say I am taking the kids. Ansley and Austin will be making their first Atlanta Braves appearance on Sunday, where I'll get to see Spencer Strider take on, I think it's Dylan Cease. Let me go back and look at this. Cease. I'm sorry, I was going to say Cease. It looks like they've actually changed this, but Dylan Cease actually a pretty good pitcher, 1-3 on the season, and it looks like the Braves have changed up the rotational bit. It would be Swallenbach taking on Dylan Cease on Sunday when I take Spencer Swallenbach, who's 3-3 on the season, taking on. So I'm excited. Going over to Atlanta this weekend. I'll also be over there next weekend for the Red Sox. That'll be a little bit of a different trip for me, but excited to have that.
Yeah, those are big games coming up. You get to see Tatis in person. And, oh, by the way, maybe you haven't been paying attention. Maybe we haven't been updating enough on Chop Talk. Maybe the last time you tuned in, the Braves were 0-7, and it looked like they were going to go 0-162. Well, they're not, Bill. They are not. What's their record right now?
Currently, as you ask, good question. Let me pull it back up. Well, they didn't play last night, so they are now an even 500.
500, right? So they're 500, rising up the ranks. They are doing well. Much like the SEC, though they are playing well and they are in third place, the two teams ahead of them are also playing very well.
Yes.
In the Philadelphia Phillies and the New York Mets. So they are climbing the ranks slowly but steadily. However, the two teams ahead of them are still playing well. But we've come a long way from where we thought when we started this Chop Talk segment this year, because did not look good, but things are turning very, very slowly, and there's still a lot of reason to be optimistic.
Braves right now, you mentioned it. They have rallied. They are 6.5 back of the Phillies right now, 5 back of the Mets. The Phillies sitting at 31-18, the Mets at 30-20, and the Braves, as we just mentioned, have gone 24-17 since that 0-7 start. So they're playing better. Most importantly, as I mentioned, starting to get guys back. And that's what matters the most right there with Spencer Strider pitching earlier this week. Didn't go quite as planned, though. He pitched and ended up taking an L in a 5-3 game to the Nationals earlier this week, and then he is set to go. They've moved him back. He will pitch on Monday when the Braves head out a little bit. So Braves, by the way, just looking at the upcoming schedule, again, tonight against the Nationals, that'll wrap up that 3-game series. Again, yesterday postponed. Then the Padres come to town. You just mentioned one of the sport's young up-and-coming stars, Fernando Tatis, will come to town.
Yeah, he's somebody that I would, when you think about the list of guys that you would want to pay to see in person, he's somebody I would want to pay to see in person because he's really fun to watch, and he's somebody who is the future of baseball.
So they will do that. They will have the midweek series. Then after the Sunday game, they'll get Monday off before heading to Philadelphia. So you want to cut into that lead? Go to Philadelphia and take 2 of 3 at least. Don't allow the Phillies to extend it. That'll be the 27th, 28th, 29th. And then I'll be actually back in Atlanta on Saturday, May the 31st. Excited about this one to see the Red Sox, potentially America's other team.
Well, the thing you said about, first of all, kids these days watching baseball, I saw the phrase interleague play go across my screen the other day, and I was like, wow, what a time that was when people were wondering, ooh, this is going to be so cool for teams from the National League and the American League to be playing. And now they do it all the time, so it's not a big thing. But anyway, yes, they would be playing the Red Sox. Yes, they might be possibly one of the other America's team. But as one of the texters, I forget which texter it was, mentioned that the Braves were the original America's team. That is partially factually correct. The reason why the Braves were given the name America's team was because there was this billionaire owner named Ted Turner. Anybody remember him? Ted Turner, Turner Broadcasting Systems, TBS. And Ted Turner said, hey, I'm buying this team. This team is going to be America's team. Why are they America's team? Because TBS is broadcast all across where? America. And so the invention of cable with TBS and this billionaire bestowed the name America's team. They didn't win an award for it. It definitely wasn't because they were good, because Lord knows Braves, not good all the way up for a long time. He brought the team in 76. It was a long time before they were really good.
Took a while.
Yeah, it was developing. Give them some time. Have patience with it. So, yes, the team was developing. So that's why the Braves were named America's team, because they were shown all across America with this newfangled thing called cable. Kids, it's wild. You could have local broadcasts shown across the nation, and people knew all the Braves players. So that's your little history factoid for today.
Okay, there you go. You got that for you. Braves, look quick. Let's go through the stats for just a second here in our Chop Talk segment. Marcell Ozuna continuing to kind of lead the team right now, batting .266 on the season, 8 home runs, 22 RBIs. But look out, Matt Olson. Matt Olson now starting, maybe starting to heat up a little bit. Matt Olson now, Ozuna's batting .262. Matt Olson is the guy that is starting to heat up. .266 on the season now with 10, make sure I get my line correct here, 10 home runs and 26 RBIs. Remember, we talked about him last week. You needed him to step up a little bit. He's starting to do that.
Yeah, that's what they need, slowly but surely, as they were coming along. The thing that I said was that they were winning games without their best hitters still not hitting very well. As we get closer, think about it, it's May 20th, 22nd now. The season is creeping along. We're getting into the thick of what we call the dog days of summer. We're getting there as we move towards the All-Star break, and there's not typically a lot of upwards or downward movement after the All-Star break.
The guy that is starting to play exceptionally well from the state of South Carolina went to Clemson, Eli White.
Okay.
He is batting .286 on the season right now. His played in 40 of the 48 games so far, and is performing at a high level for the Braves right now. 2 home runs, 13 RBIs, 7 walks, 27 strikeouts. Preston Thorne, not the stat you particularly want. Also should mention Austin Riley, .283 right now on the season, 8 home runs, 28 RBIs for him. So, yes, the bat's starting to heat up, and Ronald Acuna Jr. working on his rehab stint in Gwinnett.
What was this team? The Gwinnett what?
I forget.
Forget what it was? Yeah, it was just it was striking to see Ronald Acuna Jr. in all his neon glory in a single-A ballpark. He had on every piece of protective gear and the neon lights, and he hit a home run, and it was just like, yeah, this dude's a major leaguer, and he's playing with his cast.
The Gwinnett Stripers.
They can just call themselves the Acuñas now. If that might be good.
Stick with that.
Yeah, the Gwinnett Acuñas for the next 7 days or however long he's on assignment.
Couple articles out from earlier in this week trying to project when Ronald Acuña Jr. may return to the lineup. He is again. It's almost been a full year. It's been a long year without him, and it says while the team is doing their best to tread water, there's no denying he will be a huge boost for them. He's been doing great during the rehab assignment. Looks ready to return. He's played in 4 games so far, 3 with AAA Gwinnett, and is batting .444 over 9 at bats with 4. I mean, can you imagine you're a AAA and you're like, really? Got to face Ronald? You're a AAA pitcher. I'm trying to make my big league team. I got to face this dude.
444. That's funny.
Smacking it around. So. Anyway, 803-404-6100. There's a little bit of chop talk. No real word yet on when Acuña Jr. may be back just yet. Did have his second home run of his rehab stint back on.
What a tough spot for a pitcher to be in because, hey, by the way, Mr. AAA pitcher, you know you're in service to this guy. Don't try and get cute. Get him some balls that he can get some good swings on because this is for the betterment of the organization.
Right, yeah.
Don't try and be cute here. Just groove him something. Let him get some good swings.
Okay, so basically he's getting batting practice every time he wanders.
I'm just telling you, listen, man, who's more important to this organization, you or Acuña? It's Acuña.
803-404-6100. So we'll continue to monitor that when he comes back. There's a little bit of chop talk there for the Atlanta Braves. So, again, we'll wrap up the series against the Nationals tonight. 3-game set against the Padres coming up this weekend. And then a Monday off before heading to Philadelphia. And that'll be followed next week with a 3-game set against the Boston Red Sox at home. 803-404-6100 is how you can weigh in this morning. We'll come back. We get a little bit more into America's team, but maybe more NBA. Knicks, Pacers playoffs.
Are the Knicks America's team?
Well, got to ask it. Pacers definitely not. We're ruling them out. Nobody's taking Indiana as the America's team?
I don't think so.
You're listening to the early game. Bill Gunner, Preston Thorne, Captain David Dare. 7:12 on your Thursday morning. Again, it's the early game. Bill Gunner from Mid-State Roofing, where for nearly 30 years they have been the leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry, and it's that history. 30 years, 30 whole years is why that you have assurance that their professionals will get the job done with proper advice, service, and results to the needs of you and your facility. Whether it's your home or your business, they're going to make sure that that the way they operate is both safe and pleasing to you. Trust me, Mid-State Roofing knows exactly what they're doing. That's how they've been in business for nearly 30 years, doing the roofing and waterproofing industry. So give them a phone call. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They are there to help you. You give them a phone call. Right now it is 7:14 a.m. If you were to call Mid-State Roofing, you'd speak with an on-call technician ready to help you with a maintenance contract or any of your issues. So give them a phone call today. 803-356-1919. If you've got a leak, let Mid-State Roofing take a peek.
All right, you still have that big problem on I-26, 159 exit. Tractor trailer lying on its side there. Road is closed. Fair Road at I-77, a wreck. Also 120 westbound Fairfield Road, 2 Notch Road at I-20 in Columbia, right at Nate's Road. An accident there as well. Weather outlook for today. It's going to be a bit breezy from time to time. 85 for a high, but that breeze will feel good in warmer weather. Also, we're going to see temperatures lower for Friday and Saturday. 80 for Friday's high. Saturday, 77 for a high. Sunday, though, rain could move in, and we'll see 82 for a high. 60% chance of that rain on Sunday. 63 degrees, mostly sunny skies from the West Automotive Traffic Center.
Brass on steel. And if it comes to brass on George, game on. Wait a second.
Jalen Brunson gets it. Oh, God.
What do you call this? Is this game 8?
Not tonight. Not in the Garden. Jalen Brunson may have just interrupted the interference. Jalen Brunson of the New York Knicks, but Halliburton of the Pacers still has the brass knucks. Oh, no. Jalen, don't do this. There's no turning back. Jalen Brunson with a steel chair.
Tyrese Halliburton being the bigger man. These people don't deserve it.
Well, hey, respected Jalen Brunson for stepping up when he had to.
That man was ready to throw down.
Those were the words of WWE a year ago, and we had to relive it last night. Preston, you've given out some stats today. I look at this. Odds Shark on Twitter says before last night, teams leading by 9+ points with a minute to go, 1,434-0 in NBA playoff games. It's now 1,434-1 in playoff games.
Let's stick with the trend. If a team is up by 14 with 2 minutes and 45 seconds left, they were previously 994-0. After last night, 994-1. Big night last night. Really interesting. We told you about it yesterday that the NBA was going into this was going to be a fun series, and last night did not disappoint. The Knicks get off to a big lead, big start at home. The Gardens goes crazy. The New Yorkers are being as obnoxious as possible. The stars are shining, and then the lead starts to slip away. And then
Pete, wait a minute. Let's go back. Let's not gloss over the fact that you just called the Ben Stillers and the Tracy Morgans and the Spike Lees and all obnoxious. I like that. That was a very subtle right jab to the kidney.
Is it a surprise to call New Yorkers obnoxious? That's not a shock, is it? I think that's pretty par for the course. Yeah, you watch them in the fields and they're doing all that stuff, and they were just so confident that it was going to happen, and it started to slip away. Our local guy, Aaron Neesmith, has a tremendous finale. You can't even say fourth quarter. He hit 6 3-pointers in the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter. The Knicks get diagnosed with a classic case of what we like to call the lemon booty.
Okay.
And that's when it gets a little bit tight, when you got to hit a couple free throws at the end. Karl Anthony Towns, though he had 32 points, he missed the back end of 2 free throws. Did not hit those. Missed a couple others. Pacers hit a couple of threes. All of a sudden, you have Tyrese Halliburton doing what he seems to do very well, hitting buzzer beaters and coming back and completing the finals. And then to finish it all off, Bill, he pays an homage to the 90s, an homage to Reggie Miller. And he hits the New York fans with the choke sign.
Yeah.
Oh,
looking at the
almost
picture.
like a straight out of WWE. Looks into the camera, hits the choke sign. Even though he thought it was a 3-pointer, it wasn't a 3-pointer, so they had to still go to overtime. What a poetic moment. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. NBA basketball is doing well right now.
It is, it is absolutely fantastic. We talked about this yesterday. I get it if you're just not an NBA fan. I get not being a regular season fan, Preston. NBA playoffs, though, are a lot of fun. And I feel like this series is going to be a lot of fun. I feel like the other one should be fun, but it's going to be blowouts in every game.
That's a distinct possibility. And the reason why this is fun because you have Jalen Brunson, who, by the way, 43 last night, did not disappoint. He did all the things he's supposed to do. Cat flopping all over the place.
Yeah.
If you into that,
he's kind of annoying, by the way. Like now that I've started to really pay attention to the Knicks, Karl Anthony Towns is actually kind of an annoying just player.
Yes, he's highly skilled, very good at basketball.
Remember about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks
annoying.
ago, I told you I was like, there's something about these Knicks that I want to dislike, but they're all kind of likable, but they're not like they're kind of boring. And all of a sudden, they've started to develop personality as they've really gotten into this playoff run and knocking off the Celtics. And as I've started to pay attention more, I'm kind of like, man, this Karl Anthony Towns is really, really annoying.
There's a reason why Jimmy Butler did not like that guy. It was very apparent to me. But yeah, Cat's playing well. Halliburton does well. It's a really fun series to watch. And you're right. Hey, man, NBA regular season.
I get it. Yep.
I thought about this last night. It's the equivalent of telling somebody, hey, man, Maction's on Thursday night. I'm here for it.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I'm here for
theory.
it. Yeah, I'm here for it. But the average fan.
But then you start watching and you're like, this really isn't all that good.
Exactly. It's like, I don't know. But when these things get to cooking, and between these two teams, especially with the history, it's going to be a lot of fun. So, yeah, the Knicks blew it. Last night. I'll go over another statistic. Teams that trailed by 7 or more in the last 50 seconds were 4 and 1,702. 4 and 1,702.
But
Four wins.
You're glossing over the fact that what was that? Well, you probably don't know the losses, but how many wins were there back on April 15th in this category?
Good catch. So of those 4 wins, 3 of them have come this year by this Indiana Pacer teams, strictly by Tyrese Halliburton. He's hit 3 buzzer beaters. Remember, Dad Halliburton got on the court and made Giannis mad. Then he hits the big shot and he does the major league celebration. You have no marbles.
Yeah.
He does that, which was A+. Also, underrated villain Tyrese Halliburton voted the most overrated in the NBA by his peers. So
wow.
that just means that they don't like him.
Right. Wow.
And he's continuously killing them. So there's a lot of juice to this.
Papa Joe weighs in and says the Pacers are deadly with their three-pointers. Nick's latest victim, even Reggie Miller, was stunned.
Yeah. Naismith was on fire. he left
8 of 9.
Left his body.
8 of 9. Yeah.
Yeah. His other task was to stop Jalen Brunson.
Didn't quite accomplish. But Jalen Brunson, there was some statistic the other day or something about the Mavericks and who they've had on their team that they have gotten rid of. Porzingis, I think, was one of them for some reason. Jalen Brunson, obviously Luka.
They drafted Luka and Jalen in the same draft.
Yeah.
Now neither one of them there.
Neither one of them are there.
Jalen Brunson, all they had to do was sign Jalen Brunson to an extension. It was like 2 years, $55 million. And they were like,
it's not worth it.
Not worth it.
And he went to New York, and he's turned into an absolute monster. He's turned into a stud. But, yeah, it's interesting. It's going to be a good playoff series tonight, by the way. You get another game. You get the Western Conference game, Minnesota and Oklahoma City. I kind of want to ride with Minnesota to come back and win this one by double digits. But Oklahoma City is good. And speaking of which, SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, named yesterday the MVP of the league.
Yeah, over Jokic. I think people made arguments both ways, but obviously with the success, and it looks like Oklahoma City is the runaway sort of team, and he's the captain of that team. That looks like that's a solid pick, and he's been very, very good for them this year.
So you get Anthony Edwards,
who by the way got fined again.
I was about to mention that. What I was going to say is, again, it feels like I want to Here's my dilemma. I saw the Adam Sandler movie that Anthony Edwards is in.
Mm-hmm.
And he plays.
Was it Hustle? I think it was, or something like that.
Yeah, it's one of those. I know it wasn't Uncut Gems or something. It was something, but I saw the movie that he's in, and Anthony Edwards plays the villain so well in that you're like, I don't like that dude strictly off of what he played in. Like, his character, Anthony Edwards has, if that's Anthony Edwards and he's not even acting, you're like, man, I hate that dude.
Yeah, he's the direct opposite of those Knicks that you did. Jaden Brunson, Carl Anthony Towns, good dudes. Kind of boring.
Yeah.
Anthony Edwards, likable dude.
You'd like to like him. You got to want to like him, but he does stuff, and you're like...
You're rooting for him. You're like, come on, Ant-Man, get it together. Yeah, not quite.
No. 803-404-6100. We will come back here. A lot to talk about this morning as we roll along, and we'll get back into America's team. Several of y'all weighing in on that.
I like that. I want to hear.
I'll give you a couple more teams. There's one in particular that, no, is not America's team. Somebody weighed in with that, and I'm like, nope, that doesn't work. We'll let you discuss that. You're listening to Bill Gunner, Preston Thorne, Captain David Dare, in for Jen Jensen this morning. It is the early game. Bill Gunner for AAA Heating and Air, your go-to name in the Midlands when you need an HVAC replacement or if you just need repairs, whatever it may be, AAA Heating and Air has got you taken care of. Let's say you need a brand new heating and air unit. Well, guess what? With AAA Heating and Air, they have guaranteed financing, no payments or interest for 12 months, and a 15-year parts and labor warranty. That's if you need a brand new heating and air unit, just like I did about 2 years ago, and AAA Heating and Air came out and did a phenomenal job putting in a brand new heating and air unit, and it has saved me money on my electric bill. It's kept us warm during the winter, kept us nice and cool during the summer. It has been absolutely phenomenal. But maybe you just need replacements. You just need a little bit of repairs done. Did you know AAA Heating and Air offers incredible deals for repairs as well? If your system is broken and you're worried about cost, AAA Heating and Air has got you covered with up to 12-month payment plans with no credit checks. Call today and learn more. 803-677-1500.
I got an accident on Wood Trail between Meadowfield and 321, and that's near Gaston. Two Notch Road near I-20, an accident there at Nate's. I-20 westbound at Fairfield Road, a wreck also. One at Farrell Road at I-77, and we still have that overturned semi there on I-26 westbound at exit 159, Road 36, 9-mile backup all the way back to I-95. Weather outlook for today, a little breezy, a high about 83. It's going to cool down for the weekend for Saturday and Friday, and we'll see some rain on Sunday afternoon, but a high back up to the 80s, but in the 70s on Sunday. It's Captain Dave Wetzel, Automotive Traffic Center.
$7:34 on your Thursday morning. Some would refer to it as Preston Thorne's Hump Day, as you get through the week there.
Appreciate you.
So,
you get it.
kudos to all the kids out there, or the teachers. Last day, but for most schools, I think, I know Northside and Lexington, I think, is next week or the week after of last day of school. But I know a lot of schools are kind of starting to wrap up. Graduations taking place. I saw a lot of my friends out in Lexington, River Bluff. Graduation was yesterday, so kudos and congratulations to all the parents, right? All the parents who you got them through. You got them through the school.
You did it. Congratulations. Congratulations. Now kids, go do something with yourselves.
Come home, the door's locked and the locks are changed. And you're like, you're in the real world now.
Yeah.
Go figure it out.
Welcome.
Welcome. 803-404-6100 is how you can weigh in. The only team that is America's team is the U.S. hockey team that defeated the Russians in the Olympics. You can bet we were pulling for them and not naming our favorite as America's team.
It's a fair argument.
It's a texter weighing in.
It's a fair argument. It's a good argument. That was long ago, though. But that's a fair argument.
Okay. Another one I thought that was interesting is the Cubs. The Cubs are America's team.
Much for the same reason like the Braves. On TV, everybody can see them. It's been long suffering for Cubs fans, but there was a lot of people rejoicing because there is something to having the accessibility where you can watch a team daily and grow with them, and I do get that. So we'll put the Cubs in the same category as the Braves.
Another texter weighs in. First of all, let me be very clear. I'm a Minnesota Vikings fan. Have been since Herschel Walker went there.
Skol.
As of right now, I still think it's a New England representing America's best until somebody can win more Super Bowls than them in the current era. I think they're still representing America as one of the best. Not to mention, they're the New England Patriots, and that comes from our buddy, Clint, the Peep guy.
Appreciate you, Clint. Thank you for checking in. Did not know you were a Vikings fan. I'm still on the free agent bandwagon, so I'm checking in on that. Patriots have been pretty garbage for the past couple of years, so I don't know how that's going to work out.
Okay.
And I'm not sure anybody actually liked them when they were winning.
There was an element of Tom Brady seems a little stuck up.
He's become more likable since he's finished playing, right?
Yeah.
But while he was playing, you had Brady and Belichick. I like Gronk. Gronk is cool.
Gronk was fun. Gronk was like the wild child there because you had Belichick was grumpy. Brady seemed aloof. Robert Kraft was doing some stuff.
Oh, talk about doing some stuff. There was another tight end on that team besides Gronk.
Yeah.
By the way, I saw Tom Brady in the elevator here yesterday.
What?
Yeah, I got on the elevator. There's a guy. He's like 6'5". You know, nice looking guy.
Did you see a guy or did you see Tom Brady?
He looked exactly like Tom Brady. And then he turned to me and he said, "Have a good day, man." Pointed at me.
What a lucky guy.
Walked out.
I'm sure that fella's doing well in his life because Tom Brady's a handsome fella.
Got off on the Merrill Lynch floor, just saying. You know, if you got a little money, you might need Merrill Lynch to help you out there. Look just like him. That's all I'm going to say. You know,
listen,
of course, it was only for.
Tom Brady's not 6'5", though, right?
He's up there. I mean, what's the difference? 6'5", 6'6", it's all the same.
I didn't have a measuring stick, but, you know, he was really tall.
Tall and handsome.
All right, so we got that. All right, so Captain Dave thinks he might have saw Tom Brady here in Columbia yesterday. Put that out that Tom Brady was in Columbia yesterday. Let's see how that goes.
He's buying a house at Lake Murray, I hear.
What is your take on America's team, though? We got several of those that have weighed in.
Yeah, I think right now it's the Kansas City Chiefs. I think it's the Chiefs. If we go by some of the different metrics, whether it's actually winning, coverage, characters on the team, likable, unlikable. You know, I think there's a lot of arguments to be made. Somebody also might make an argument now for the Eagles coming up. And the reason why I keep sticking with football is because obviously football is the number one sport in America by far. And so the winners of these teams tend to get a lot of attention. And now you have the Eagles. Sirianni's kind of gruff. He's interesting. Saquon is going to be the new Madden athlete. So there's going to be a whole young generation of folks who are exposed to Saquon. Jalen Hurts is a quarterback. He's handsome and composed. He's a good guy you want leading the franchise. There's some argument for the Eagles. They haven't done it for long enough, though.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I don't get on board with that. So another takeaway is in Cowboys and Braves are both America's team. They don't have to be winners to be considered America's team.
I don't know about that.
I kind of agree with that. You don't have to. I don't think you have to be a winner to be considered America's team. As a matter of fact,
this is America, right? We're trying to win.
As a matter of fact,
what kind of statement is that? You don't have to be a winner to be America's
team? As a matter of fact, I think the more of a loser you are, the more you might be America's team. Well, we love the Cubs.
I want America's team, then. I want winners.
Like, don't we get like? Don't we get annoyed with winners? Isn't this what happened to like Golden State? Remember they were cute and cuddly, and Steph's bringing his kid or daughter or whatever to the thing, and then all of a sudden we're like, wait a minute, you guys are winning too much, and you're going out. And this brings me to my point. Somebody weighed in with the New York Yankees as America's team, and I was like, I don't think so at all. And I like the Yankees. I'm a Yankees fan, but I'm like, no, I don't think the Yankees are America's team.
Yeah, there's a lot of people in America who like the Yankees. I don't know if they can adopt the moniker of America's team for a lot of those reasons that you said. Unless we just want to cheer for corporate greed and winning, then maybe.
See, Joey from Sumter. Sounds like Preston is just equating the current winners with America's team. I disagree.
Okay, well, who you got, Joey from Sumter?
Pittsburgh is America's team. They're the only team that every away game seems like a home game because of all the black and gold in the crowd, and they're called Steeler Nation for a reason.
That is true. Steelers do travel very, very well, and you haven't had a losing season in all of the time that Mike Tomlin's been there. You also won't win in the playoffs. I thought this was about winning.
I don't think so. Marcel weighs again. If the Cowboys, you mentioned it. My buddy Marcel weighs in and says Cowboys are America's team.
But I feel like everybody missed the fact that both of these phrases of America's teams, it's just made up. Pat Summerall made it up. Ted Turner made it up. It's not a real thing. So they're the America's team because we made it up. So why don't we make it up based on them winning?
Hugh weighs in. Preston is hilarious. My guy. Yes, winners. Winners.
I'm just saying. I mean, why not?
Do you have to be a winner to be America's team?
This is America, right?
Didn't we kind of like the Lions?
America's for winners.
Didn't we kind of like the Lions because they were lovable losers and we're about to turn on them a little bit? They hadn't won a Super Bowl, so it's hard to turn it completely on them. But didn't we kind of?
They're on their way. They're on their way. They're on their way to be turned on. They're gonna have to get this right here soon.
That's my point. 803-404-6100. We'll come back. We'll wrap up our number 2. You're listening to the early game. Bill Gunner for the Ecton Law Firm. If tax troubles are bothering you, if they're keeping you up at night, if they're stressing you out, there's a easy solution, but you've got to take a little bit of initiative, and that is calling John Ecton and his team. 803-771-9800. You can get a free consultation. The Ecton Law Firm has a local team dedicated to resolving your income or business tax issues for good. They understand the challenges you're facing, and they're ready to help you navigate the IRS maze. So give them a phone call today, 803-771-9800. If the IRS is after you or your business, your personal or your business taxes, yeah, you could be in a little bit of trouble. But that's why you need to call John Ecton and his team, 803-771-9800. That's how you can get in touch with him. You also look him up on the web. That's ectonlawfirm.com. Give him a phone call today. Tell him Bill Gunner sent you. We will circle back to, I believe that was Boomer Esiason.
Yeah.
Being a true boomer.
If there was a boomer take, that was it for sure.
On Tyrese Halliburton's choke last night. Somebody weighed in, you mentioned this. I guess he thought it was a three.
Yeah, so it was an absolutely ridiculous shot. They only needed 2 points. He's driving to the hoop. He goes back steps up. He didn't know he stepped on the line, shoots the ball, makes it. He thought it was a 3, so he thought he actually ended the game, but it only went to overtime. Then they ended it in overtime. So he further went on to say he sort of wasted that, his words, wasted that celly because he thought he ended the game with it. So I don't know if he's going to pull it out again or not.
Okay, one of these I can't read. 2 of these I can on America's team. Text always in Preston. Taylor Swift dragging millions of fans to the Chiefs does not make them America's team.
I absolutely disagree. I think that makes them America's team. America's sweetheart, the biggest pop star in America, married to the boyfriend with the tight end. I think that makes them more America's team.
Okay. Another texter weighs in. William says, if it's all about winners, it has to be the women's national soccer team is America's team.
Solid. However, obviously there's a lot of different things. People are divided on a couple of different issues with them. So I don't know if that could work. And also, 2 years ago, they kind of slipped up. They are back. But that'd be a tough argument to make.
Shannon weighs in. Packers travel more than the Steelers. Go, Pack, go.
Ooh. Speaking of Packers, the ultimate haters who I'm with, go, Pack, go. Your plan was foiled. You tried to get the tush push band Packers. We found out it was you. First it was anonymous. Then we found out it was them. They tried to get it foiled. Did not work. Tush push is back. I agree with the Packers. However, apparently we're in the minority, and we will be having more tush pushing this year. More pushing with the tushing.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, by the way, so real quick, go back. We didn't really fully get involved in that. The old tush push yesterday. Give me your stance there on that a little bit.
Anti.
Okay.
Anti. Why do we need to help the offense get more yards? Can we hit the quarterback or nah? Can we push the quarterback or nah? Anytime any rules are made, they're always made in spite of the defense, and this is just another ploy for big offense to score more points. You want to run a quarterback sneak? That's fine. Why do you need extra guys pushing you behind? I've said it before. I'll say it again. If they can push you forward, I'm okay with that as long as we take away forward progress. Can I pick you up and run you backwards 20 yards and count that as a down? No, then the tush pushes out.
We will get more into this coming up in the next hour as many of y'all continue to weigh in just on America's teams. And let's not go down this path. This is mean. Brad says, I'm just going to change hate to don't like. We don't like Taylor Swift, and now we hate Kansas City. See, I'm with. I don't think Kansas City is America's team, and I will continue to say that I think the lovable losers are usually America's team.
We is doing a lot of work there. Taylor Swift is extremely popular. Also, Andy Reid. You don't like Andy Reid? You don't like Patrick Mahomes? We're
beginning to not like Patrick Mahomes. If you're paying attention to this, Patrick Mahomes, the wife is becoming a little bit too much for people. Brittany Mahomes, the brother, the TikToker, or the Instagram influencer, we're not liking him. Patrick Mahomes' father seems excessively annoying. Now we're just like, nah, you're in some relation with all of those three, Kelsey and Taylor Swift. I think the other day, Travis Kelce did something really sweet, and everybody just, adored him. And now people are like,
we hate
as guys, we don't like him. We're like, stop doing sweet stuff for your girlfriend.
Let me run this correctly. We hate love and winning. Good job, America. We don't like people in love, and we don't like winners.
That's right.
Join misery with the rest of us.
That's right. Yeah.
Be a Cowboys fan.
Cowboys.
Or be mediocre with the rest of us, like a Steelers fan.
But I think the thing is, you got to have a little personalities. You can't be the Panthers. Like we don't label the Panthers America's team because they're some big losers right now, right?
Correct.
Noah weighs in. Preston, what do you mean the New York Yankees who buy their way to the top isn't an American way? If anything, it's un-American to not be greedy and buy your way out of your problems.
You might be onto something.
803-404-6100 if you want to weigh in on America's team. Jason says underrated America's team. The Savannah Bananas fill up every venue they visit. I still haven't figured out what that is. I know what it is. I know but I haven't figured out what's going on there.
They took the Harlem Globetrotters and put them on a baseball field. I guess I just don't know who the Washington Generals are for baseball, but yeah, Savannah Bananas, they don't play real sports.
Well, that's what I'm trying to that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to figure out are the Washington Generals just following them around okay. Help me with this real quick. 803-404-6100. The Savannah Bananas are the Harlem Globetrotters, right? That's what they are. They're the baseball. I just figured it out. Talking through it on air with everybody, with you, the Savannah Bananas are the Harlem Globetrotters, which would be, I guess, America's team, right?
No,
They were winners.
They don't play real sports. They gotta win something real.
Okay, all right. We're figuring it out. We're setting some parameters here this morning for America's team.
And remember, folks, it's a made-up title, so whatever parameters you want to make, you can be just like Ted Turner. You don't have to be rich to make stuff up. You can make it up, too.
Well, Darby weighs in. America's team is actually a person. Joey Chestnut for competing and win all the Nathan's hot dog eating competition on the 4th of July.
Solid.
Very
Solid.
good. Hour 3 on the way. Bill Gunner for the Mortgage Guru, Jacob Crowder and First Palmetto Bank. If you're thinking about buying or building or refinancing this summer, Jacob Crowder is who you need to call, and you need to get in touch with him today. See what the interest rates are. See what your options are. See what is available to you. And with First Palmetto Bank, they are locally owned and operated right here in the Midlands. And what does that mean? It means quick and precise underwriting. So you can get quick decisions. You can get everything taken care of in a timely manner. And I know this to be a fact because just about 5 years ago, Jacob helped put me in the condo I'm in on the lake and did it in a very easy way, and I appreciated him for it. He'll do the exact same thing for you. Give him a phone call today, 803-719-1005. Again, that's 803-719-1005. Give the Mortgage Guru a phone call today. If you're looking to buy, build, or refinance this summer, now is the time to contact Jacob Crowder, 803-719-1005.
All right, looking at the roadways at the moment, we are looking pretty bad. Two Notch Road at I-20 got a wreck there. Also Park Lane at Park View. Leapart Road near 378, Garner's Ferry Road at Barnesdale. I-20 eastbound at 277. That's going to be a bad one. Farrell Road at I-77, Alpine Road at Windsor Lake Boulevard. Still have that problem out on I-26 westbound It's going to be right around the 159-mile marker. That's been backed up all morning long, going all the way back to I-95. Weather outlook for today, it's going to be warm in the 80s, but a little breezy at time. For tomorrow and Saturday, we'll see dropping temperatures. Saturday should be pretty nice. Highs in the 70s, but on Sunday we could see rain move in.
Eight 803-404-6100. We'll get to the phone lines here in just a minute, but we have been discussing a whole bunch of stuff this morning from our most important things of the day, which included Ashley Chastain Woodard and softball getting set for the Super Regionals coming up tomorrow, 1 o'clock. That'll be over at Beckham Field, and it'll be televised on ESPN2. Preston Thorne, we have talked a lot about that. We've talked about the playoffs and serious conversation. Tyrese Halliburton last night giving the choke signal, the Reggie Miller choke signal that Boomer Esiason in the previous hour on his CBS Sports Minute called immature and unprofessional, and I don't know if I agree with that at all.
He said it was classless.
Classless.
And I would like to offer, hey, Boomer, I don't know if you saw his previous celebration, which was the You Have No Marbles celebration. So I don't know what you want. You want him to do the choke sign or you want him to do the Major League You Have No Marbles celebration? It's up to you.
There you go. So,
or do you want his dad to run on the court? Because that's what he did the other times where he put daggers in the hearts of teams.
Yeah, I think my favorite was the, speaking of daggers, was the Mateen Cleaves. He had a big shot for Michigan State. I didn't like Michigan State because I was a Michigan fan, but he had a big shot for Michigan State in the year they won the championship. And he did the dagger to the heart and started acting like he was twisting the knife. And I was like, I'll use that one day. And finally, I got to hit a shot in a team camp game, in a basketball team camp game, and was able to do that running back down the floor. And very proud of myself. And so I got jerked off to the side and yelled at for,
it was right.
for doing that. But anyway, so we've talked about that. Also, we've talked about America's team. And Ron wants to weigh in this morning. Ron, how you doing? What's on your mind this morning regarding America's team?
I'm doing all right. Well, for 40 years, Dallas was known as America's team. The only reason they're really not America's team because they didn't patent it. They should have patented it back in the 80s.
Okay. Can you patent that? Is that such a thing? I guess you can. Why couldn't you?
Yeah. Jerry West patented three-peat. The word three-peat.
Okay. All right. Well, we appreciate the phone call. Dallas, why Dallas? No, I'm not asking Ron. I'm asking you. Is it because we just grew up labeling it? Is it because you said
Pat
I was
Summerall
going to say
in 1979
Yep.
on the orders of NFL Films called them America's team
Do we know why he did that?
because they were on TV a lot.
Okay. That's it?
That's it.
Got it.
It's all made up, just like most other things. Just somebody just made it up one day.
Essentially, what you're saying is this is why the Cowboys and the Braves are America's team, because they got into the television market way ahead of the game.
Ted Turner said, hey, there's this thing coming along. It's called cable. Everybody in America is going to be able to watch my team. Let's call this America's team.
Which, again, if that's the case, that would make probably the Cubs part of America's team.
Yeah, but they never said it.
WGN?
Yeah, yes. For those factors, yes, but they never claimed it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, they should. Again, that's where they were missing the boat, truly. Of course, the Braves were pretty bad, too, in the 70s and 80s. I probably should say that, too. It is mildly hilarious. The two baseball teams that you could see all the time were really, really bad at baseball, actually. Now, as I say that out loud, like as you think about that. But speaking of someone who is not doing poorly right now, who's doing extremely well, I'll tell you what, Captain Dave, let's hear from Ashley Chastain Woodard. She was on SEC this morning, and this is her talking about having success, being an alumni. And I'll get back to this with Preston Thorne, but this is Ashley Chastain Woodard yesterday on the SEC this morning talking about having success with this year's team.
It means a lot, and I think when you have somebody that's leading the program, that played in the program, there's just an extra layer of passion for certain things. And, for me, like I really want to connect the current team and the current program to the past and the alumni base. And, we've felt so much love and support over the past year from so many people that have been in this program. I mean, from the 80s and 90s, this program is very historic. If you go back and look, it's been around a long time. So I think for me, just is trying to find players that are going to care as much about wearing the logo as I did. That's really important to me. And, I really admire that about this team and just kind of some of the historic things that they're doing and changing the program right now. I think that they're going to look back and just have so much passion and stay connected with the program. And so, as an alum, that means a lot. And so I would hope that when we recruit people, whether it's, high schoolers or transfers from other places and their families, really, because it's a holistic decision. It's a family decision to come be a part of what we're doing. I would hope that they would feel that passion for me and really want to attach themselves to that. And my staff has deep Carolina roots, and they're just as passionate about this place as we are, or as I am. So, it matters to me. I just want people that are going to care about the program as much as I do, and really cherish and take care of the logo.
So that is Ashley Chastain Woodard. And Preston, I think the big part of that is being an alumni. And we've had a few people come back and coach that are alumni. I know there was a big push years ago from Mike Boynton to come back, given that he's an alumni and some of the stuff he had done at Oklahoma State. But again, Preston, to have an alumnus running a program here is really cool to see.
Yeah, it makes the people that were part of the program feel connected to the program. That's something that many of my teammates struggled with at various times, because there's sometimes a disconnection between the people that are running the program and the people who are part of the program. And so to have somebody who understands that and can bridge that gap is very important for that program. I'd imagine you'd see support go up, you'd see financial contributions go up, you'd see involvement go up from people who were previously involved. So it's not a prerequisite for me. You don't have to be an alum, but you do have to care about this place and treat it as if it's yours. And that's what we've seen with Shane Beamer, Dawn Staley. We've seen them do that. There have been other coaches who did not treat this place like this. They treated it as a rental, and they used it as such.
You mentioned Shane Beamer. He is obviously not an alum, but he has embraced the job and has called it his dream job. And I think more people would say, well, obviously his school was Virginia Tech, but it feels like he has more love for, and had, before he took the job, more love for this school than he did for Virginia Tech.
I'm not in his heart. I don't know where his love is. I do know that he seems to really, really care about this place, and he has some previous ties to this place. And as an alum, as somebody who does have an affection for this place, I appreciate that. As I said, the previous football coach, you never really got that feeling.
Right. Oh, no, it was a paycheck.
It felt like it was a paycheck. It felt like it was another step. It was just wherever I am, I'll do that here. That didn't feel good as an alum, and that didn't feel good as a supporter. As I said, it's not a prerequisite. You don't have to be an alum to be a coach here, but you do have to care about this place the way many of us do.
803-404-6100 if you want to weigh in on any of that. Also, we have been, again, discussing America's team, and the reason is, well, let's hear this clip from, who is this who gave this
Marjorie
clip?
Harris, the wife of the owner of the Commanders.
Here is Marjorie Harris talking about who is America's team.
We have so much to look forward to. And look, the Commanders are America's team. And so what better place to have the NFL draft than in the mall?
Hey,
making a pitch for the mall to host the.
They will be hosting.
What is it? Is it America's Mall? What's the name of it? I've never.
They will be hosting.
Okay.
They'll be hosting it on the mall with all the monuments. That's where they'll be having the draft in 2026. 2026 or 2027 coming up in the future. So that is something that is happening. They are building a stadium. They rebuilding the old RFK Stadium, so they're going back into D.C. instead of being out in the suburbs. There is a push to make the team that represents the nation's capital into America's team. I respect that. That's fine. However, I don't know if out of all these texts, I don't think anybody concurred or agreed with that. Did we have any?
We had I think 2 or 3. Yeah.
2 or 3? Okay.
Yeah, we had 2 or 3. Most people are saying a couple more weighing in. If television coverage makes you America's team, then hail to America's team, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish.
There's an argument to be made for that. There's an argument to be made for that. They have a nationwide fan base. They have, especially if recently have been winning, a built-in group of people who are going to cheer for the gold helmets regardless of where they are. I can hear that.
Okay, and Sean weighs in and says America's team has to be the Cowboys, even though they haven't won anything important since the 90s. Every transaction they make is all over my TV, and if they win a game, the annoying DC for life, Dallas Cowboy for life, is all over my social media timeline.
I would just like to submit these numbers one more time. 4, the number of playoff games that the Dallas Cowboys have won in the 2000s. 1996, the last time, quote-unquote, America's team has won a Super Bowl. So take that for whatever it's worth. Yes, they are America's team. They do draw a lot of attention, hence the reason why you see them. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you talk about the Cowboys, people watch. So people watch and you talk about the Cowboys, goes around and around in a circle. I don't know about it.
803-404-6100. We'll get back into, speaking of the Cowboys, but more importantly, maybe the Eagles, the tush push. We'll let Preston get into a little bit of some NFL rule changes and explain that. You're listening to Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner, Captain Dave Adair in for Jen Jensen. It is the early game. Bill Gunner for Mid-State Roofing, who have been the leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry for nearly 30 years. That's right. Larry Leitner and the family have been taking care of roofs all over this great state, whether you live in Charleston or Aiken or Florence or Myrtle Beach or Greenville or Spartanburg. Mid-State Roofing is there to help you with their assurance that their professionals will provide the proper advice, service, and results to the needs of your facility, and they're going to do it in a manner that's both safe and pleasing to you and your operation. At Mid-State Roofing, they design and install bonded systems with a protective guarantee that'll keep that operation dry and running. So give them a phone call today, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They're there to help you. 803-356-1919. Again, that's 803-356-1919. They'll help you with a maintenance contract and get you all set up for the future and for some of these upcoming summer thunderstorms we have. So call Mid-State Roofing today. 803-356-1919. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you.
All right, still looking at several problems on the roads. First of all, we got Two Notch Road near I-20 Piney Woods at Broad River Road, Park Lane at Park View, Leapard Road at Garner's Ferry, K Street at St. Andrews Road, 20 eastbound at 277 Fair Road at I-77, Alpine at Windsor Lake Boulevard, and 26 at the 159. Yep, westbound, so they'll be heading in toward Columbia. That road is pretty much blocked there with a tractor-trailer turned on its side. Weather outlook for today, about 83 for a high, a little breezy at times, but that'll be good because you're going to need that in a warm weather, especially if you're outdoors doing some activities. But lowering temperatures for tomorrow and Saturday. Saturday should be a great day with a high of only 77, but rain moves in on Sunday.
Preston, before we get to American football, let me ask you about European football. Do you know?
Big day.
Are you aware of who won their Europa League?
We are the champions of something. I don't know what we won. Cups get given around all the time over there in Europe, but Spurs up. Very Spursy. Tottenham Spurs won a cup somewhere, somehow, something.
Our good buddy Tony Annan has texted me and said, Spurs pulled it off. Preston has to be happy.
I am extremely happy. I'm not quite sure why. I don't know what it means, but anytime we get a trophy, I saw my guy's son holding the trophy up. I'm with it.
There you go. All right. So
I don't know what we won, though.
No clue. You want a trophy?
A trophy? Give me the trophies. Give them all.
Give all the trophies.
It's been a long time since we've won a trophy.
Congratulations.
Matter of fact, I think I've been a fan since 2019. I don't think there's been any trophies in that period of time.
Okay.
Not quite as long as the Cowboys, but it's been a minute.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Tottenham wins Europa League. Knocks off, actually, I think it was Manchester United yesterday, and claims that. So Preston very happy. Also, well, I guess you're not very happy that no change to the tush push. And let's hear, this is Jeremy Fowler detailing yesterday the decision not to ban the tush push in the NFL. Here is Jeremy Fowler talking about that.
NFL owners emerged from their meetings. They voted 22-10. The league thought it made a convincing argument here because their health and safety committee recommended that they ban the push play, pushing or pulling any ball carrier. The NFL competition committee did the same. So they were able to sway some votes. Back in March, they only got 16 to 32 votes. This time 22, so closer. It is something they could revisit next March at the annual meetings, but right now it simply was not enough.
We said yesterday that it looked like it could be going out, but in fact it's not. So how are people reacting in Minnesota today?
Yeah, Matt, there was an element of surprise walking out of this building. In fact, some Eagles people were surprised. They walked out thinking that they didn't know what was going to happen. They could go either way, truly, and it was that close. But, you know, talking to some owners here in the building, the Eagles did a good job of potentially swaying some teams that could have been on the fence. I talked to Steelers president Art Rooney II, who said that Jason Kelsey and his presence, him explaining the tush-push play, why it's effective, why it's not really an injury risk at all, could have swayed some teams. And so the Eagles came full frontal with a plan. Owner Jeffrey Lurie gave an impassioned speech to the crowd, basically saying, look, to be proficient at something only for it to be taken away would be unfortunate.
And now for Preston's thoughts.
Deacon Jones was proficient at the head slap. You know what they did? They took it away. Defenses have been proficient at the cowboy collar. You know what they did? They took it away. The hip drop tackle, that got us to tackling folks. You know what they did? They took it away. Now, they did that all under the guise of safety. And so, no, the tush, I'm not here for that. I don't think the tush push makes anything more dangerous. You can't be more dangerous than colliding the 300-pound men over and over again. It's not going to get more dangerous. I just think it's a bad-looking play, and I think it's, quite frankly, dumb. So I don't know if that's a solid enough argument to get the law, to get a rule passed, and I understand how maybe that is not enough evidence. I would just continue to say it's a dumb play.
Now, how much of you being a defensive lineman weighs into that?
100%.
Just making sure.
1,000%.
Just wanted to make sure we cleared up the bias on any of that.
1,000,000%. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. The same way, you want to get the center who was the inventor of the tush push, and he gets to talk to people about that? Why does Jason Kelsey get to talk about that? Why couldn't we have gotten Aaron Donald to cross-reference? You don't think that was biased to get a center to talk about how the tush push is safe? Of course it was. He's for it. I'm against it. Makes sense to me. We didn't have any defensive line representation in that meeting. Only Jason Kelsey gets to speak about the quote-unquote non-dangers of the tush push. Get out of here.
Okay. No, I'm not trying to tell you you're wrong. I want to make sure we're clear on where some bias might be coming from with the tush push as a former interior defensive line. Do you think a defensive end on the exterior, on the outside, they're kind of like, yeah, sure, whatever.
Boy, I'm not getting in there regardless.
Who was it for the Commanders, America's team, the Commanders, who kept just jumping over the pile, and they're finally like, if you don't stop, we're just going to give them the touchdown.
I'm all for that. But just to be clear, a center who was from the team that is using this was the person that got a chance to speak to the owners. You want to talk about bias?
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you.
It's fine. We're just gonna have to stop him earlier. It's all good.
803-404-6100. How you can weigh in on the tush push there in the NFL as they decide to continue to allow that. The proposal. Do you think this? I'm guessing we're going to see this for a couple of years. Another proposal to ban it will come up next year. Do you think that happens, or do you think that we just completely give up on this?
Depends on how egregious they get with it. Depends on how much they do it. I imagine Nick Sirianni, in the troll that I think he is, put a pin in this. Mm-hmm. First play, Eagles come out in tush push formation. They may not run it, but they come out in that formation.
I say run it. See if you catch the other team off guard. Go for about 7 or 8 yards right up the middle.
I'm just telling you. Put a pin in that.
We will do that. Also yesterday, speaking of football and some controversy, Urban Meyer had an opinion. Preston Thorne, Captain Dave, this is cut number 4. The Big 10 has passed the SEC at the upper part. Here's what Urban Meyer had to say.
Well, you know what the SEC's done? It's raised the level, and I know you got to go and I got to go, but the Big 10 has passed the SEC at the upper part. And that if you'd have told me that 10 years ago, so there's no chance, it's not even close, because it's not. When I first got to the Big 10, even Shelley said, what in the world? You know, this is a slow man's game up here. And I like to think of the Buckeyes really changed that. And then everyone else started, investing in their schools and started recruiting the best player, not just the footprint. And as a result, the Wolverine team 2 years ago was one of the best teams I've seen. The Buckeye team this year is one of the best I've ever seen. You've seen Penn State, and some of these teams have great success. So I'm anxious to see the SEC fight back for that, because next year's another year. And the one thing, and I'll close with this: the SEC. Who was I talking to yesterday? That the SEC Big 10 fight, the top, I believe, well, obviously the last 2 years goes to the Big 10, but still that middle to bottom, it's the SEC by far.
Yeah.
You got 8 teams, 9 teams in the SEC that think they can go win a national title. No other conference has ever had that.
Your thoughts? He's got. I don't know if
He's making a couple different points.
Go ahead.
I agree with the second point. Yes, the SEC is tougher in the middle. Up at the top, I feel like anybody can play, and that's probably from anywhere, as is borne out in the playoffs and the national championships. We've seen those happen. But I guess since we're talking about bias, SEC apologists here, the point of being in the SEC is that you have to play this competition every single week. And in the Big 10, they don't have to do that. They have to get up for 1 or 2 games, but they don't have to get up and be ready to compete every single time.
Yeah, and I understand kind of where you're going with that. I do agree with him that the middle of the league, and that's what he was kind of, to your point, totally different when you compare. And I think that's what we talk about strength of conference. And where he agrees, and having been at Florida, and I think it's even different and stronger now, the middle of the conference for the SEC is what stands out when you compare it to the ACC or the Big 12 or the Big 10.
Also, I'd just like to point this out before we move on. The last quote I heard from Urban Meyer before that was how he preferred college football because he could, quote unquote, recruit players with more character. That's why he didn't like the NFL, because in college he could get players with higher character.
That's why he kicked his kicker in the NFL. Not enough character.
Urban Meyer, known recruiter of high character guys.
That's what we all assume. That's what we all assume. 803-404-6100. We'll come back. Catch up with Josh Harris. It's time to make some picks for our quarterly Pool Solutions Checkered Flag Challenge. You're listening to the early game.
Preston here from Midlands Landscape and Lawns, and I'm talking to homeowners who are ready to say goodbye to your lawn care headaches. Do you really want to spend your weekends pulling stubborn weeds or guessing at what fertilization routine you should use for your lawn? Of course you don't. And Paul Romenstein, the proud owner of Midlands Landscape and Lawns, has one question for you. Do you want to let the weeds win this summer? No. So why don't you retrieve your dream lawn with the Midlands Green Treatment Program? This isn't just lawn care. It's expert fertilization that nourishes your grass and eliminates weeds for good. No more embarrassing bare spots and no more endless weed pulling so you can get your time back. Just enjoy a beautiful, inviting outdoor space for you and your family to have. Get a lawn that you'll love, guaranteed. And Paul Rumstein and the Midlands Landscape and Lawns handle the hard work for you. So visit hateweeds.com. That's hateweeds.com or call 803-356-8080.
All right, still big problems on 926. It's going to be heading in toward Columbia 159-mile marker with a overturned tractor-trailer, Alpine Road at Windsor Lake Boulevard. An accident there, Hardin Street near Gervais. 20 eastbound at 277 K Street at St. Andrews Road, Leapart Road at Garner's Ferry, Park Lane at Park View, Piney Woods at Broad River, and 2 Notch at Kelly Mill Road. Weather outlook for today, sunny skies and a little bit breezy conditions, 13 miles an hour for those wind gusts out there, 85 for a high. That'll feel good. Though Friday we'll see temperatures drop a little bit down to 81, Saturday down to 78 degrees, and Sunday a possibility of rain showers with a high of 82, 60% chance of that rain. 69 at 107.5 The Game.
.32 on a Thursday morning in time for our Corley Pool Solutions Checkered Flag Challenge segment. Joined on the phone lines. That's right, lines, plural. Let's welcome in first Miss Jennifer Jensen, who is making her way to a big race this weekend. Jen, how are you this morning?
I'm trying not to race to get there, but yeah, making my way to Indy.
Excellent decision. Excellent decision. And also joined on the phone lines, again, plural, by the one and only Mr. Josh Harris of Darlington Raceway. And how are you doing this morning, good sir?
I'm doing good. In the car, but not racing anywhere.
Okay, good. Okay. It's great. This program has got 2 people on the phone lines, both in the car, both driving. We are a very safe program around here. Go ahead.
It's the driving segment.
It's the driving
That's
segment.
right. It's all about it.
Yeah. Very rarely do we get to do this with people actually in a car driving somewhere right now. So let's stay within the
Driving
legal.
to a race.
There you go. One heading to probably a racetrack, one heading to a different racetrack. Well, Jen, let's start with you. Your excitement for an annual Jensen/Morse family tradition.
Yeah, looking forward to it. It's a sellout in the grandstands in Indy, so 350,000 of our closest friends will be there. And it should be good. It's going to be a little bit cooler, so the track conditions will be interesting and definitely could be fairly quick. Got a rookie on the pole, somebody who had never really touched an oval until he got to Indy, so that's kind of a neat storyline. The Penske stuff, interesting storylines, and I think it's going to be a good race overall.
Josh, what do you know about the Indy, or kind of what's your experience or knowledge or the Indy 500?
Well, I'll say this. It's on my bucket list. I love watching it every year. The whole day, Memorial Day, that weekend, F1, Monaco to kick the day off. You got the Indy 500 and the Coke 600. So, Jen, don't be surprised next year if you've got a stowaway in your trunk when you make your annual pilgrimage up there to Indy.
Bring it on. I actually have an extra ticket, so let's talk.
Okay. All right. Not only do we have people in cars, now we're helping people be friends and go to events together. We're quite the efficient show here. So let's go back to last week and revisit North Wilkesboro for a minute. And Josh, I'll start with you. Big weekend for NASCAR, the All-Star race. A lot was going on. Your thoughts on how the weekend went?
Yeah, I think it was the best of the 3 All-Star events we've had at North Wilkesboro from an on-track competition standpoint. I thought the race was compelling throughout. You know, the first couple of years, whether it was Joey or Larson, kind of got out front and dominated. So it's great to see the track come in and be really competitive. Obviously, fans still are showing up, packing that place out, and I think it's a great place to host the All-Star race, and it's good to see. I think from a series perspective, it looks like we're making a little bit of progress on the short track, so that bodes well for the rest of the season.
Jen?
Yeah, I don't disagree. And the racing was really good. Since the repave, I think it's kind of getting dialed in a little bit better. I had seen where there were like 18 lead changes and a ton of passes, so that's really good as far as the short track is concerned. And I know mixed reviews on the competition or the caution, the promoter's caution. Not sure I was a super big fan of that, but overall, I thought the racing was great, and I honestly feel like after this past weekend, maybe it would be something that NASCAR would consider making a points race at some point. I don't know. Thoughts, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's certainly going to be in consideration for a points event. I mean, the biggest question with that is where it comes from, because they're not going to add another points race to the schedule. So there's a lot of factors at play with that. But I mean, from just a capability of hosting standpoint, I think North Wilkesboro has shown that they can do it. And I, just as a race fan, I'd love to see a 400-lap daytime race there in the summer when it's hot and slick, and it'd be a fun one to watch.
Now, Jen, you are going to the Indy 500. You will be there. You will see the race. Now, what I'm more interested in is, will you be attempting a double like my guy Kyle Larson?
I will be attempting the double as far as watching the 500 in person and getting to the hotel in time to watch the Coca-Cola 600, because that is a feat. Last year, it took Kyle Larson less time to fly from Indy to Charlotte than it did for me to go from the track to my hotel.
Oh.
So traffic was terrible last year. But otherwise, that would be a fun double for patrons to do, wouldn't it?
Yeah, you'd have to have some money to get into that.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. Yeah.
We have to get our sponsorship.
Just I need to talk to corporate.
Josh, can you explain how actually difficult this task is that Kyle Larson is about to attempt to take on?
Well, I mean, it's 1,100 miles in a day, and it's the longest race on the NASCAR side, and then it's the Indy 500 and the G-forces that those guys feel for 500 miles at Indy. It's going to test his physical fitness. It's going to test his mental acumen, his rest. So, there's been guys that have tried it and done it before. Kurt Busch was the last one to do the double. So I'm really looking forward to it. Hoping the weather holds out for both events so we can see him get behind the wheel and make all 1,100 miles.
Yeah, that would be great, because really the only one that's actually completed, I believe, is Tony Stewart, all 1,100 laps. So, and there might be somebody else, but it is quite a feat, and I'm sure there will be IV fluids on the plane, all the things to kind of get him rehydrated, because, both races are so taxing, with the NASCAR race being, again, like you said, the largest or longest race, and the taxing parts of the Indy 500, because you're looking at everything that they have to go into. I mean, they're running 230 miles an hour side by side, everything that goes into all of the telemetry and all of the inner workings in your steering wheel. There's so much mentally that goes into driving those cars, be it Indy or NASCAR, and then you get the physical aspects. At least with Indy, it's not going to be so blazing hot, so that won't be quite as exhausting this year for him as it could have been in previous years.
Real quick, what kind of toll? You mentioned IVs on the plane coming down. What, Josh, and then I'll go to you, Jen. What kind of toll does this take on a driver's body?
Yeah, I mean, I think the dehydration is probably the top one that they're concerned about. Just even with it being a little cooler in Indy, it's still going to be, you're wearing a hot suit. It's still taxing. So I think that's probably their biggest thing. So getting him a lot of IV fluids is going to be key in between those races.
Jen, your thoughts on that? Y'all kind of mentioned that. I mean, it's just insane to think about, because Josh mentioned G-forces in the IndyCar races, and then you go to that. That's crazy to think about, but the tax that it takes on your body. Yeah,
no, it's very, anybody who says that racers are not athletes, they've clearly not gotten behind the wheel of a car to do that. And you heard in the past where different drivers will say that they maybe have weighed like before and just after a race, they could lose 5, 6, 7 pounds. That's just how much they are getting rid of and whatever. So totally rehydrating that is one of the main things. And Josh is right. Even though it's going to be cooler at Indy, track temps could still be easily 90 degrees or better. And so you're on that for multiple hours in the fire suit, in the cockpit, stress, everything. It's fun to sometimes watch if they put a heart monitor on somebody and to see what their heart rate is, because I can't imagine what mine would be doing that. But when they're doing this consistently for 3-4 hours, and then for him to go do that again. Yeah, I mean, you just have to be so physically fit.
All right, let's make some picks here for the week. Real quick, before we make the picks, let's get you two's thoughts on it. Obviously, we're just talking about the Coca-Cola 600. It is it is the longest race of the year, correct?
Yeah, it's the longest on the NASCAR side by 100 miles, and it'll be a good 4+ hour race. So strap in for an evening.
Sounds lovely, absolutely lovely. All right, so real quick, what do you expect, Josh? I'm not asking for your pick just yet, but what are we looking for this weekend?
Well, I think we've seen really domination this year so far by the Penske, Hendrick, and Joe Gibbs racing teams, and I think it's hard to go away from that right now with the way those teams are running.
Jen, before you make
I agree.
Yeah, I was going to say, before you make your pick, and you'll be picking first this morning, Preston has moved ahead of you. Your just thoughts on what you're looking for with the race.
Yeah, I think I'm looking forward to the racing, and just overall, I think Chevy has usually been pretty dominant there, but I agree. I think the Toyotas have a chance. I think Penske's are driving well. So, I don't know. I think we're going to see somebody that we're not expecting to actually win the races this time around.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get to the picks here. And, Jen, as I kind of said, you get to go first. That's not a good thing.
Look at me.
Yeah. Congratulations. You go first. Jen is at 34 points. Preston is a point ahead of her at 35. Josh is at 43. And myself and Reggie are battling it out right now. I'm at 49 points. And Reggie, courtesy of picking Christopher Bell last week, moves ahead of me. He's now got 50 points. So we are duking it out here at about the half. Would y'all say, are we at the halfway point about now? Yeah? No?
We're getting close.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I
can't remember which one is the actual turn, but yeah, we are getting close.
Okay. And it looks like we've got 15 more races counting this weekend to the playoffs. So, Jen, you're up first. Who are you going with?
Boy, I've struggled. I know that Larson is considered a favorite, but I'm concerned to take him just in case they end up having to use his backup or something. But I don't know. I think I'm going to go Ryan Blaney.
Brian Blaney. All right. So, Preston, now for the first time in a while, you're picking not last. Congratulations.
Appreciate it.
Who are you going with?
Yeah, I hope we're not halfway because I have 35 points out of the 120 I got last year, so that doesn't quite equal half. So we'll see. Give me William Byron.
William Byron it is. Mr. Harris, you are up next.
Well, I think that Christopher Bell likes to win in bunches, so I'm going to take the 20.
Very wise decision. Very, very, very wise. By the way, would any of y'all take a chance? Because the odds suggest Kyle Larson is the favorite. Do either of you two believe that?
I think standalone, he would be, but I don't. Yep. I can't go there with 1,100 miles, but that would be quite the feat.
Kyle Larson is the favorite. I'm not going to take him. You know who I'm taking this week? I'm going to take my guy. Give me Denny Hamlin. He is due, I think. I think he is due. He's actually second in terms of the odds. And then, Jen, quickly, who does Reggie have?
Reggie, actually, his first pick would be Larson, so we'll see.
All right. Jen, safe travels. Josh, we always appreciate it. Hope both of you get to wherever you're going safely, and we appreciate you joining us this morning.
Thank you. Have fun, Jen.
Y'all take care.
Thank you.
Be safe. Be safe. 803-404-6100. Preston and I will come back. We will wrap up the program. You're listening to The Early Game. 803-404-6100. Thank you to Josh and Jennifer, Miss Jen, for joining us this morning here as we did our Corley Pool Solutions NASCAR Pick'em of the Week, and got that done. And again, Preston goes with, what have I got? I got you at the bottom. William Byron. Reggie goes with Kyle Larson. I feel like it's a dangerous pick.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't feel like that's going to happen. I mean, 2 races? Is he going to sandbag one and try and win the other one? Is there one more important than the other? I've been trying to talk to my sources to figure out how this works, but that's a tough pick. It'd be an amazing feat, though.
I'm surprised he's the Vegas pick to win the Coca-Cola 600. But anyway, Reggie goes with Kyle Larson. I go with Denny Hamlin. Jen takes Ryan Blaney, and Josh goes with Christopher Bell. 803-404-6100. Ross Dellinger reporting during that previous segment, Preston, that there is a call set up today for the CFP. The College Football Playoff executives are scheduled for a call today where many of them are expected to adopt a straight seeding model for the 2025 playoff that would feature financial compromise. That would feature a financial compromise is what it says. I don't know much about the financial compromise just yet, but straight seeding. In other words, the top 4 seeds would not be the conference champions. They're just going to seed 1 through 12. If you won a conference championship like Clemson did last year, the ACC, if they won that, they would not get the 4 seed and get the bye. They would still have to play that opening. They could end up being the 12 seed, if that makes sense. Your thoughts on just going straight? We're going 1 through 12. Conference champions would not necessarily receive a bye.
This is obviously the SEC and the Big 10 pulling these strings, right? I wouldn't imagine that the other conferences have anything good to say about this, because I think inevitably what will happen is you'll have teams that competed in the quote-unquote tough conferences being seated higher than actual champions. So I would imagine the SEC is leading the charge on this.
Yeah, Big 10 or Big 10 and SEC, I would imagine. I don't think it's just the SEC, but I think it's both the Big 10 and the SEC basically trying to overtake everything and get exactly what they want. And, of course, the SEC is pushing for – I think the Big 10 is involved with this too, but I know the SEC is pushing for a 16-team playoff with 4 guaranteed bids for the SEC, 4 for the Big 10. So they'd get half of the field. And, yeah, part of this is to basically be like, if we've got 2 of the best 12 or 16, whatever it may be, we're not letting the Big 12 get their conference champion in and get a higher seed.
Yeah, and then that was an issue last year. There was the games could have been reconfigured in a way that might have been more competitive to start, and people were wondering why. I think Boise got to host the game, didn't they?
No, they went to Penn State.
All right.
They were the 12 playing the 5. I think the question was more of like Clemson, because you had Arizona State. Let me do this off the top of my head. I think you had Oregon at 1, Georgia at 2. I think Arizona State was 3, and Clemson was 4, I think, if I remember this correctly.
Okay.
I could be wrong. Although Clemson went to Texas, so now that I'm thinking, I'd have to go back and look. It's amazing how quickly we move on from the playoffs and everything, isn't it?
Yeah.
That goes to show you that the playoffs are now – it's much like the NCAA tournament. We move on because Clemson actually went to Texas, so Clemson didn't.
Would straight seeding have got us in the playoffs last year? No?
No, it wouldn't have.
I don't care.
It wouldn't have.
Doesn't matter to me.
I got to look up the college football playoff now to remember what exactly happened. All right, we will be back tomorrow and have a really good time.
See y'all tomorrow.
Take care.